you already raised. Benedetto, from your experience scaling AI, what is the one organizational misconception that hinders adoption in companies?
Thank you for the question, Sandra, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this tech talk. So I will start with a concrete experience I had in a conversation with an executive to whom I asked her point of view about using AI in her daily life. And the answer I got, which is not dissimilar from many I got, was like, well, I don't need to use AI because I don't need someone to write email for me. And that answer impersonates the misconception that AI is there to replace human being and to create efficiency. And it's a misconception that I think overall we are hearing because the push for AI, we believe, can be generated by the attractiveness of reducing cost and increased profit for organization. Which ends up being interpreted like replacing human being. This is, I think, the key misconception. Where AI is really adding value is in effectiveness of redesigning business processes and effectiveness in decision making that can bring the result of the processes to a completely different level. A very quick example I want to bring. We are all using Zoom at this moment. And a very common functionality that is known about Zoom is the AI assistant that creates a summary. That's very good. But a much more powerful functionality of Zoom that is much less known is the ability to get a coach. You can have a Zoom coach that can diagram the way people are interacting in a meeting and enable teams to be much more effective in the way that they handle it.
And if AI triggers this kind of change and even fear, Benedetto, where should leaders in companies, where should they begin? I mean, taking the hand of the employees, I see that, but what is your experience? Where do you think should they begin? Because it seems to me also it's a bit the same than we already discussed 7, 8, 10 years ago when we discussed digital transformation and everyone was scared. So what is your experience? Because I assume you have seen this.
Yes, and you're right. It's very important to look backwards and understand the learning of the history. I see a strong correlation between this moment in the history with what happened actually at the beginning of the millennium when the .com appeared. And it took a while for organization to understand that the real value of the .com was about reinventing the way product and services were designed, reinventing the way to connect with customer, with consumers, with suppliers, and have much more personalized experience. And that's how complete industry have been reinvented. Like think about music, think about travel, think about books, and so on. Therefore, my advice is we should take the learning and start from the business strategy, from the business model, and rethink how can the organization now take leverage the opportunity of the new technology available and rethink the way we design products, services, go to market, and so on. And this is, I would say, not happening at the right speed, because the approach usually of leaders is go to the organization and say, hey, there is this great piece of technology here, think what you can do with that, and hence the multitude of pilots that, for the reason we have been talking about, are not very successful, at least at the scale that we wish. That's the reason. So my advice is A, start from the top with a top-down approach, reinventing the business strategy, and B, and this is for me the key thing, is use AI to redesign your business strategy. And there are ways to do that. create the right context. I don't want to become too technical, so that basically you have the unique insight into your business that can open up a complete.
Thank you, Benedetto. If I may just put in a small side question that just came from the audience already. There was a comment on, are you really sure the workforce is afraid of AI? Because the anonymous attendee is not really seeing that. Could you give a small comment on that from your experience, or maybe, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the talk in the village is the headlines of the newspaper. That's what they continue to report, right? Okay. I don't want to mention companies, but the fact that we hear every day, we read every day, this company is going to reduce X thousands number of employees because of AI, is the music. Then, okay. Now, of course, I expect in organization where I've been operating in different shape, that there can be definitely leaders that reverse the trend, and they say, okay, fine, this is what we read, but this is what we're gonna do in our company. I don't deny that.
Question then, Benedetto, did you?
Yeah, sorry, but I have a lot of sympathy for one of the questions, so I really apologize. I interrupted you. The participant that talks about the dilemma about joining AI trend versus regulation change versus waiting for regulation maturity. I have a lot of sympathy, and for this question, and I understand the dilemma, and I wanted to offer a perspective. I don't think things are going to get better in terms of stability. I think speed is going to increase. This is the environment we live in. The speed at which technology is going to change is going, I think, to exponentially increase, because the good technology, the better technology that we have today, I use the word better as in more powerful, is going to create more powerful technology. So we are really in this type of environment. Everything I have seen developing in technology in the last 30 years just got faster. And therefore, for me, it's like we need to learn to live in this state of, let's say, high speed that is created uncertainty. And waiting for things to stabilize is not going to be the solution. It's just going to leave us back.
Yes, and thank you, Samuel, for putting this question. So when we know this, Benedetto, which of our human capabilities rise in importance, especially in leaders, and why?
Yeah, this was not designed, but now even more important, I think, I talk about courage, really. So let me articulate why I say that courage in human being is going to be even more important. I mean, in order to have courage, you need to have a purpose. You are brave because you believe in your purpose, and therefore you, let's say, you lean forward in taking actions that otherwise you wouldn't take. And so far there is no purpose in AI. So far, I don't know. I can't say what's gonna happen in the next year. It's too difficult to predict, but so far there is no purpose. So human beings have purpose, and therefore I think we need to be more brave in pursuing the purpose of doing the right things. That's my belief, and that's what I talk in the book. That's why the book is called The Braveheart CIO. I think we need to be more bold in making a decision towards doing the right thing. I will make one example. Rightly so, Benjamin has been talking about the challenge of scaling up AI pilots because of the complexity of the technology landscape. That is an issue for so many organizations. That is a symptom. The complexity of the technology, let's say, is not the problem, is a symptom. is a symptom of a lack of governance of business processes. And not having the courage to sort out that void of governance is one of the things where I think CIO needs to step in much more. And that's the type of courage. But of course, it's a difficult decision because it means having very difficult conversations inside the organization that so far we didn't have.
Benedetto, what is it what they need to focus on, and how do leaders build alignment when teams don't share the same idea of what AI can do? Or what are some practical thoughts you have on what leaders should be looking into?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sandra. And actually, these questions also enables me to answer ones we have in the chat by the basis. And it's a which has a lot of votes. I will read the question as well, and then I will answer yours and the basis question at the same time. So the question of the basis is, how can we say that we can build a strategy or operating model using AI? Then it will be copying someone else's idea. And are we talking about leveraging generative AI or agentic AI? It's a super beautiful question. Why? Because it links to another misconception of AI, that in the way LLM have been trained using public information, they basically tell you what someone else has said. Well, in a way that might happen, but that's not the real value of using AI, right? So what does that mean? It means that one of the key requirements for me in an organization to start with is really to deploy a very well-crafted training program for AI. Because through this training program, you can really put everybody on the same page on what AI can do or can't do. And therefore, if I now connect to the question that is so well crafted, it's been Ville himself that has been teaching me super powerful use cases on how to use LLM for innovation processes. And it's absolutely groundbreaking how this exercise teaches you really to understand and amplify the power of, in that case, was generative AI to boost innovation processes. And that completely redefines this misconception, which if I use an LLM, I'm basically just recycling what someone else has said. Exploring more, really AI has so many components. We have the generative part, we have the agentic part, but let's not forget the machine learning, the deep learning. And knowing which of these elements of AI you need to use for what is extremely important. And that's what, a thorough training program in the organization helps you to do. When I was at Diageo, which was my last executive job, I realized that until I put a critical mass of my people, of my organization, of digital and technology through the training program, we just were not speaking the same languages, and many people had objection to, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, simply because of perception of what the technology can do. So extremely important, speak the same language, do foundational training program, and understand which component of.
Benedetto, or maybe I can hand over to you, Ville, and then Benedetto, you can comment on, because you wanted to also chip in this question, and then maybe Ville, you can slowly wrap up because it's time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be very quick to answer this question. What is the differentiator? Well, for me, it's like saying that if I give you a Ferrari, you can be as fast as Lewis Hamilton in a race. Of course not. So the real differentiator is how we understand how the technology works. and how we can use it to solve business problem. That's it. So the real differentiator is the human.